mental health, everyone. Today I'm sharing about my child's updated diagnosis for her autism spectrum disorder. My kiddo was initially diagnosed with ASD at 2.5 years old. At the time of this video, she is 10. So we went ahead with the steps to get re-evaluated, and here is our story. My kiddo does not have recurring psychiatric care, so I had to go to the community and find a provider in order to establish appointments for sessions. My primary concern was finding a decent provider who would accept my insurance. But once I did, I called and set the appointment and went in to meet the provider. Session 1, Psychiatric Diagnostic Evaluation. In this session, my daughter and I went to see the provider together. This session lasts about 45 minutes. During this session, the provider talked to me a little bit, talked to my daughter a little bit, and just compiled information to obtain a baseline. It's important to know what you're being coded and billed for each session. For this particular session, the CPT billing code is 90791 with ICD-10 code F84. Don't worry, there won't be a quiz on this. The cost of this session was $200 and my insurance covered at 95%. Session 2, Psychotherapy at 60 minutes. So this appointment just consisted of the provider and my daughter in a one-on-one session. This session will have consisted of problem solving, where the provider may have asked my child to build a tower with blocks but not provide enough blocks to complete the task. Social scenarios, where the provider might ask my daughter to pretend that they're at a birthday party and observe how she might cope with minor obstacles. Engagement, where the provider might observe if my daughter engages with them or keeps walking away. And conversation, where the provider might observe if my daughter has difficulty sustaining back and forth conversation. And I'm sure you can hear her in the background. She's got a lot to say at home. The Session 2 CPT billing code is 90837 with ICD-10 code F84. The cost of the session was $172 and my insurance covered at 95%. Session 3, Psychological Testing. This session consisted of a sit-down with the provider and myself only for 90 minutes. The provider asked many then and now questions based on my daughter's behavior from the age of 4 to her behaviors now at 10 years old. After this session, I was sent home to complete 2 separate additional questionnaires, again based on her behavior from the ages of 4 through 10. There were varying questions about her communication, her interaction with others, with her peers, and with her family, her speech, if she is violent or has violent tendencies, how she responds to certain stimuli, if she shows affection or emotions, a whole bunch of questions. And most answer formats were limited to likely, unlikely, somewhat likely, something like that. Session 3 had 2 CPT billing codes, 96130 and 96131. 96130 was for the first hour, and 96131 is for each subsequent hour. The cost of the session was $279, and my insurance billed at 95%. Session 4, Psychological Evaluation Report and Discussion. This final session consisted of the psychologist that provided a written report at the final visit. Within the report, my child's diagnosis was explained, the test results were provided, and I was given the opportunity to ask any questions about the findings of the report. The psychologist also provided recommendations for educational plans specific to therapies, such as speech therapy, occupational therapy, and positive behavioral supports. I was referred to local agencies and websites that might also be of assistance, and provided with other resources to help me connect with other families who also have children with developmental disabilities. The bill for Session 4 had CPT codes popping up all over it. By this visit, I was so happy to have my diagnosis in hand. The cost was approximately $594 and insurance covered at 95%.